G'day punters, I'm Mark Duclos. Welcome along to this week's episode of Behind the Boxes. Got a massive show coming up for you. As always, joined by my co-host and offsider, Timmy the Battler Newbold. Battler, how's the week been?
G'day, Duke. The week has been just chipping away again in hard lockdown where I am in Sydney. Not a great deal to report from our humble little abode here. I guess probably the most exciting part of the week is when the deliveries of the online shopping come to see what's coming, to be quite frank. You know, Paula, my partner, she's become a professional online shopper, and I'm actually going all right myself. So, when you hear the truck pull up out the front, the steps come, oh, what's coming today? That's about the most exciting part of our lives at the moment, Chucky.
Well, I'm based in beautiful Palm Beach on the Gold Coast. I can tell you, unfortunately, for you guys, we're not in lockdown. The sun's beaming down.
Rub it in.
It is a different time of the world. Anyway, listen, today it was announced that Greyhound Racing New South Wales and the Greyhound as Pets program has signed Melbourne Storm star Ryan Papenhuyzen as their ambassador. Earlier this week, I journeyed up to Noosa Head to the Storm training facilities. I caught up with Ryan, and the first question I asked him was, as an elite sportsman and someone who's got blistering speed, his connection with Greyhound Racing looks absolutely ideal.
Yeah, it is quite fitting. It's not the first time I've sort of been compared to a greyhound or have similar attributes, being small and being pretty nippy. So to be compared to it and sort of now being immersed into that, it's pretty cool, it's pretty fitting.
Tell us, where did your love of greyhound racing come from?
Probably on my 18th birthday, I think, when I started getting introduced to punting and the likes. But then from there, I just really liked the animals. It wasn't too long after my 18th birthday, I got involved in ownership, going out to the track. I think I actually had my 18th birthday out at Wenny Park. So it was a great day, great night, great atmosphere. And just from there, just the love for the animals and just how cool the industry is and how easy, and at the time it was a little bit cheaper than the horses. So it was a great way in, great fun, and that's why I love it.
And if we talk about greyhounds that you owned, of course, you had success with a greyhound called Gary's Gift.
Yeah, a bit of success at some good odds for Gary's Gift, which was nice. He was great fun. He was our first dog we had. It was with my cousins, my old man, and my sister's partner. So it was great fun. First dog we owned, and he had a few wins at big odds, like I said. But it was just fun, sort of getting around, going to the track, heading down to Dap Dome, watching him run, just things like that. And it sort of brings you together as friends and gives you something to cheer about on the weekend.
Tell me, how does it compare winning a big game of footy to winning a greyhound race? So what are the similarities like there?
Yeah, honestly, it's that thrill that you only experience from those certain events. Like winning a football game, I can't reenact how it feels, but it's the same with winning with one of your own dogs. Going to the track and actually experiencing it, and I'm sure you've put a few bets on the dog as well. So when it comes home, you see it coming down the straight and it's in the lead. It's quite a euphoric feeling, actually. It's really cool.
Ryan, obviously racing is one part of our industry, but after Gary's Gift's career was over, you actually rehomed him yourself.
Yeah, we did. I sort of planned to rehome him with us and my family, but obviously moved down to Melbourne, and that was a little bit hard, and my partner got a little puppy at the time, so it was going to be a little bit too hard. But we ended up rehoming Gary, which is what I was really passionate about, and that's the thing I love about the industry too. There's definitely a life after racing, and that's what I feel really strongly about, and pretty happy I was able to do that.
And as you said, people very quickly fall in love with a greyhound. They are a very lovable greyhound, a very lovable animal as a pet. As a racing dog is one thing, but when you get them home, they get on the lounge, they really do consume your house and your life.
Oh, they're amazing. Their temperament that they hold, it's honestly one of the best pets I think you could have. Even after they've raced, all they want to do is just come home, sit down on the couch. They don't take too much maintenance, and they're just great companions. So to have them as a pet after, I think, is something I'd definitely encourage. But yeah, back in Melbourne, you'd literally see people, it's probably the most popular dog down in Melbourne now is the greyhound, and it's just good to see them get rehomed, especially after their racing careers.
Now, obviously, as an NRL player, winning a grand final is probably the ultimate accolade, the ultimate achievement. In greyhound racing, particularly in New South Wales, we now have the $1 million chase, which is the Holy Grail.
Yeah, well, I think there's very similar buzz around that in the greyhound community. I think I remember it last year, massive event. and to have $1 million prize money for a greyhound race, it just shows how far the industry's come and the people that support it. You've got footy players into it now that love it, get up to watch it, and I just think it's a great initiative and great race to have. And
of course, $1 million on offer to the winner of a race certainly gets a lot of people interested.
Oh, massively, I think, especially being an owner. You only need a small share and you get a small taste of that $1 million. So it's massive for the industry and a really good prize for the hardworking people of it.
And of course, the $1 Million Chase has got a great association with the Greyhound as Pets program, of which you're now an ambassador for us.
Yeah, I'm feel pretty strongly about rehoming greyhounds after their career, and yeah, it ties in beautifully with the $1 Million Chase, and just you can support both sides of the industry, what I think is pretty cool and what I'm passionate about too. So to be involved in the $1 Million Chase and the GAP program, yeah, I can't wait to rip in and be a part of it.
Now, you mentioned a few of the boys love to have a punt, love to, obviously have a bet on the dogs and that. Tell us, who are the biggest pests as far as punters? Who are the? I think I know who you're going to say, but tell me Brendan Smith is one of the blokes that just bugs you for tips.
Yeah, look, we don't have too many experts, I'll give you that, but yeah, there's definitely a few boys that love a punt, and Cheese would top that list, I reckon, and Munster would be a close second. And
they're, obviously some of them have been involved in horses in the past, and what are the chances of converting them into ownership of greyhounds?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely something that's been spoken about, and that's something I'm probably going to teach them, is just how to get into ownership, and I think that's probably something that having this role too, I'll be able to help out other people join into ownership of greyhounds, and it doesn't cost too much. It's great fun and just another way to bring everyone together, and yeah, I think that's definitely something I'll pump through the footy team.
Let's talk about your footy career. It's well documented. You had a terrible case of concussion this year. You're on the sidelines for 8 or 9 weeks. How have you adapted to that injury and coming back and playing now?
Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough couple of months, and just lucky the club sort of let me take my time throughout it, and got me to where I am now, which is building confidence slowly but surely, and yeah, now I'm sort of back playing. There was a period there I just didn't know when I was sort of going to get better, but just turned a corner and now I'm feeling really good. So it's good going to games knowing that I can be confident and can get back to the old what I was doing at the start of the season.
Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and for you guys at the Melbourne Storm, and along with the Warriors, you've probably had the hardest case of any of the footy teams to handle. You guys relocated from Melbourne to Queensland, then you went back to Melbourne, and you had to come back to Queensland. There's obviously a lot of greyhound trainers that are doing it tough at the moment. What message would you give them as to being able to handle this COVID situation?
Yeah, massively. I mean, we've got it tough, but sort of mentality I've been keeping throughout is there's people who have it a lot tougher than we do. There's people losing jobs at the moment. So all I can really say to the industry itself and the trainers is it's going to be tough. There's going to be tough periods throughout it, but all we can do right now is just try to stick together and try helping her brother out, help a mate out. If you find someone who is struggling, give them a call. Even if they're not struggling, just give them a call, check in on them. And I think that's something that the greyhound community does really well. They're pretty tight knit, and yeah, I think that's probably just a little message. It's probably already been done, but yeah, if I can say anything, it's just connect with those ones who you haven't connected with in a while. Just check in, and yeah, hopefully they can bounce back and hopefully can get out of this sometime soon.
We know the greyhounds are finely tuned athletes. Their racing preparations are timed to the minute. How do you think Bellyache could go as a greyhound trainer, knowing his dedication to the job?
Yeah, well, look, I think Bellyache loves to push us to the limits, and I think if it was a greyhound trainer, they wouldn't really make it to the track on the weekend, I reckon. They'd be too tired to run, but no, it's funny, like speaking earlier about sort of the greyhounds' week of training and our week of training, there's definitely similar things about tapering, getting them up for certain races, and stripping it right back if they're not feeling too good. So Bellyache, I reckon he'd push his dogs to the limit. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing.
We're only a couple of weeks out from the semi-finals. You guys are on a roll heading into this week's match against the Titans. You're shooting down 19 straight. Tell us what the rest of the season holds for you personally and for the team. How do you think it's going to play out?
Yeah, well, it's obviously a pretty amazing record what we got at the moment, and no one wants to lose that. So I think we're just going to go, the end goal is to win a premiership, and that's sort of there at the moment. But at the same time, we've got to be confident with what we've been performing, and we've got this streak for a reason. So there's no point looking at that. It's probably looking at the end goal, the premiership, and just playing the footy we know we can play, and hopefully can be there.
Timmy, I've got to say, a really impressionable young guy. And the thing that really struck me, he's got genuine affection for the greyhounds. Travis and Ho Belson actually brought a couple of dogs over for us. And as soon as they got there, Ryan basically said, see you later, and went straight to the dogs. And as I said, you know when someone's fair income or not, and Ryan Papenhuyzen is a genuine greyhound lover.
Yeah, it's great to see someone with such a high profile getting into the industry. And as you said, it's not just a commercial deal. He's got skin in the game. He's an owner, he's a punter, and he's got a genuine love for greyhound racing. So that's what I find really it's great about Ryan getting involved, because it's not just dollars and cents as far as a deal being done commercially. He loves greyhound racing, and I love that he's actually a punter too, Duke. But yeah, his name could be up in lights again in early October. Melbourne, they're travelling along beautifully at the moment, and he might be up on stage with another premiership ring and celebrating another victory in the NRL.
And it's people like him who can actually change the perception of people who may have that misguided notion about greyhounds, and that when they see someone like a Ryan Papenhuyzen, Jessica Fox, an unofficial ambassador for greyhounds as pets, and that when they see them and their interaction and the way that they speak about the dogs, it can, establish great cut through with people who may not know what sort of a pet they actually are.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, Duke. We do need these big names. Todd McKenny, he's another big name here in Australia who loves greyhounds. He's got 2 or 3 greyhounds at home as pets. So it's fantastic that these guys are getting involved and getting that information out there. And we're preaching to the converted. When we're talking a lot on these shows like this, we all love greyhounds, but it's important these people are playing their part and getting the message out to the rank and file out there, Duke.
Yeah, and a terrific footballer as well. All right, we've been a little bit devoid, obviously, because of the pandemic with our racing schedule and that. Obviously, Wendy's off the scene at the moment. We've spread our race programs right across the state. But last Thursday night at Dapto, Timmy, we had the New South Wales Sprint and New South Wales Distance Championships. Let's talk about the Sprint Championship first. We had Tick Warrior, who was drawn in box 2. It was a scratching in the race, and then provided a vacant box to the inside for good odds cash. And again, prepared by Tracy and Frank Hurst, a chaser with a massive upward trajectory, and a greyhound we know is capable of running blistering times. She jumped and run and pretty much defied all challenges.
Yeah, she began fast and she drove hard through that first turn. She had a bit of pressure from the outside with On the Rocks coming across. She's got plenty of early burn and wanted to get to the rails, but that's what I love. She drove through that first turn, held her out into the back, and then just continued to roll along in front. Zipping Kiros, when he got into second position down the back straight, 3 or 4 off her, I thought, well, he'll probably catch up, but she slung on the home turn and just kept on rolling. 29.51. It's hard to run any greyhound down when you're running 29.51. Early section 5.34. 16.96 to the back. They don't go any quicker at Dapto to the top turn. She, as you said, she's on an upward trend. She's won 11 out of 19 now. She's got that golden ticket into the $1 Million Chase semi-finals next year. She's got age on her side? I think, what is she? She's not quite 2 years of age yet. So she's got plenty of racing ahead. Collision, Nino Dioro, and actually another one from the litter went around at Maitland. Spice Rum on Monday night ran 29.40 odds. So this is quite a good litter, and at the moment she's at the top of the tree of that litter, Duke.
I like the fact she's adaptable, Timmy. She's run 29.7 at Wenty on, I think, 3 occasions now. 29.50, 29.51 at Dapto, but she also, I think she's run 26 even at Bulleye. So it's rare you see, not rare, I mean, the good dogs do it. They handle a 2-turn track, and they also handle a 1-turn track as well.
Yeah, no, she's capable, and she's a jump and run greyhound, Duke, straight on the lure and catch me if you can. And those greyhounds win more often than not. She's in great hands with Frank and Tracy. So if they decide to head to the $1 Million Chase next year, and I'm sure they will with that golden ticket, she's going to be a genuine player because she's only got upside from now. As I said, she's so young. So no, she's exciting times ahead for the camp.
We had a small field contest the New South Wales Distance Championship. On paper, it looked a 2-dog race between Sound of Silence for the Hurst Kennel and also Super Estrella for David Smith. Last week, Timmy, when we were discussing the race, you thought that Super Estrella could win the race mid-race and showed, that speed down the back straight. And that's exactly how it panned out, and answered that question, could she run out the 7:29?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if you watch the first probably 100 metres too, Duke, she had plenty of pressure trying to get over. She couldn't quite. She had the Kylie keeping, which was just holding her up in the early stages. She couldn't quite get over. So she lost momentum in the first 100 to 150 metres. And when she got around it and then went out after the leader, Sound of Silence down the back straight. And that's where I think the best part of her race over the 700 metres will be, is through that midsection. And that is where I think she can break their hearts. She got a little tired over the final stages, but, that was the first 700 metres. So she's going to take a stack of benefit out of it. I think she's the real deal as a stayer. I think she's a genuine Group 1 bitch, and I've got no doubt Dave will elect to travel around with her when he can, and when the big races do come up in other states. She's one out of the box, in my opinion.
Well, we are blessed in New South Wales to have some great trainers, people who have been born and bred into the greyhound industry. And our next guest here on Behind the Boxes is one of those people. Mick Hardman joins us. And Mick, you're one of the lucky ones, I guess, mate. You were born and bred into the greyhound racing industry. Your grandfather, your father, they were both greyhound trainers. Mate, tell us your earliest memories of being involved in the dogs.
Oh, well, one of my favourite dogs is Brother Fox. I remember when he broke the record there that night, 25.82, I think it was. Shy Julie, breaking 43. All those memories of those good dogs around Harold Park. But going back, I remember, whelping dogs and the going to the Nolly Bowmans and, pups and getting cows and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I remember right back to, maybe 5 years of age.
And Mick, the 70s and 80s were recognised as a glory days of probably all codes of racing, but in particular with greyhound racing, and plenty of money changed hands in those old days. When I know your dad, he liked to punt in the old days and pulled off plenty of good plunges in his day.
Yeah, I remember one night at Richmond, they had a dog, Beirut Bomber. I clearly remember it. He was first reserve and got a run off the 8. And they had to bring the armoured guard truck back that night to pay everyone.
Hey, Mickey, you and I, we were talking on the phone the other day. We were talking about the big money in those days. I was working for a bookmaker at Harold Park and Wentworth Park at the time. And we're talking about, we knew when some of the trainers were ready to have a punt. Cousin Sam, I think, wore his white shoes.
Yep.
Billy Fletcher wore his lucky cat.
Yep. And Dad said, it was very hard competition in those days. You had to probably win 6 races before you got to town at Penrith for Richmond. But he always said, you used to always look for everyone's trait. Like you said, Billy wore the cap, Cousin wore the white shoes, and people smoked and all those sort of things. He said, even though it was stiff competition, he said you always knew when you had, when you didn't bet or had to bet.
Now, listen, you're based at Parkspawn, which is about 20 kilometres west of Goulburn. Tell us about the property and the facilities that you've got there, and also how many dogs you've got on there.
So essentially, when we come here, it was just a sheep farm. So we had to strip it all back. So in the last 13 months, we've done fencing for 8 rearing yards out to a 5-acre Goulburn paddock, which is all uphill, sort of rolling hills. Put a dam in. And when we come here, we had 4 race dogs, and so we've extended that out to, I think we've got about 15 inside now. We've got another 12 pre-training kennels outside, and we're on 110 acres. So we're probably only using about 30 acres at the moment, but we're looking, once we finish this in the next 2 years, we'll go further up the back.
And Mick, when did you make the time to make the move to full-time greyhound training? Because at one stage I'm right in saying you're running a mushroom farm at Londonderry?
Yeah, so we're in the mushroom industry for 25 years. And it was only 15 months ago, I said to my wife, I'm done, because we're working 7 days a week in the mushroom farm. It's very similar to the greyhounds. So we had 2 choices. We were either going to go to the Gold Coast and retire, or go greyhounds. And my good friend, and he's my business partner at the moment, Bill Butler. I said to my wife and my little son, I said, "What do you want to do?" I said, I'm not phased on what we do, and they wanted to go greyhounds. So that's how we sort of made the decision. I left it up to the kids, but I'm really happy because Tyrone, only 10, and the lifestyle out here, like motorbikes, and he's got 5 or 6 sheep here and some alpacas. So it's been good for him as well.
That's a pretty ballsy move, Mick, because again, only 5 years ago, we're in the throes of the industry being shut down. You must have been confident that we were going in the right direction.
Yeah, look, to be honest, when the band came in, I was actually at the Gold Coast and Peppers at the time. And I remember I got back to the hotel room and I had about 20 missed calls. So I knew something was going on. So I was always confident that it was never going to get closed down. I think the government got some misleading information and they made a knee-jerk reaction, which is fair enough. But it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to us, in a sense that we've got a good rehoming program that's come out of it, welfare. So we've gotten very professional in the last, 4 or 5 years or whatever it's been.
You've had a lot of success buying ready to race and perform, or ready to race and greyhounds that may have had 1 or 2 starts from Dennis Barnes, a lot of them bearing that Nengar prefix. And I'm pretty certain you're going to tell me that the fastest dog you've ever bought from Barnesy was Nengar Russ, but unfortunately, a greyhound that was plagued with injuries his entire career.
Yeah, it's a shame because just before he broke his hock, I took him to Sandown and he broke 29. Then I went back on the Thursday and he ran 29.03. Then I went back the following week and he won there in 29.3. And then COVID set in. So I just tried him at Goulburn and he broke his hock. Now, it took me 9 months to get him back to the track. But as you know, Duke, they come back. He didn't lose a stride in ability, but he just lost his confidence in a field. So it was really unfortunate.
And I guess for you buying dogs from Barnesy, you know that they've been well reared, they've been well prepared. And as for someone who, I know you've got pups coming through now, Mickey, but you need those dogs in your kennels to be able to race week in and week out.
Oh yeah, certainly. I'm lucky. I've got probably 8 city class dogs in the kennel, and most of them are all Dennis Barnes's line. But we've got on the other side, we've got a lot of bread and butter dogs there as well. So you need a sort of a balance of both. You're not always going to have the good dogs. So we've got bread and butter dogs there. But Dennis Barnes, I love it. They just, they can go for 50, 60 starts. They're just, like you said, they're well-reared, well-bred, well-educated. And, all you do is, when I get them, all I can do is clip a lead on them and they're ready to go.
And Mick, over the last year or so, Zulu Warlord, he's been the flag bearer for the kennel. He's won 14 out of 29. He's run 29.50 odd around Wenny Park, and he won the New South Wales Sprint Championship at Bathurst a week and a half ago.
Yeah, look, I bought him after he won 2 races, race at Maitland. Fantastic chaser. I believe he's batting above his average, that dog. Like, he's got a lot of ability over 450. He struggles to find the line a little bit, but, he's a fantastic chaser.
Stack of early speed. We've seen him. We know how notorious a wide runner he is, but surprisingly, I guess in one way, Mickey, but you look at his runs off inside boxes, just that early toe that he's got, he's able to make these races his own.
Yeah, he's a very competitive dog. Like, if you trial him, he trolls like a 5th grade dog. But as soon as you put him with one other dog, he'll just run best of the day. So yeah, he's a very, very competitive dog.
We are in the middle of a COVID pandemic, and we know how tough it is for so many people, and so many people throughout so many different industries are doing it really tough. And again, as I say, you and I were talking the other day, you're very firm in your views that you think our industry needs a welfare officer, particularly at this point in time, to provide that assistance to trainers or to owners or anyone in the industry. I know GRNSW are in the process right at this minute in speaking with the Gotcha for Life program, but you're very firm in your views that some of these people need help and they need help now.
Yeah, so part of my decision for getting out of the mushroom industry, I lost a friend probably about 2-3 years ago to mental health and some issues he had going on, and no one knew about it. And I think the generations coming through are probably, more, what can I say, more across this sort of issues now. but I think, you know, there was some issues with some contaminations going on in the last 12 months or 18 months. And I think people really need someone to fall back on. I think, you know, social media, I know it's out there for everyone, but it really affects people. And a lot of people don't want to talk and things like that. But if you had somebody to ring or go to or reach out to, I think it's very important. A lot of the other industries throughout, you know, the world have either HR or welfare officers. And I think we need to get on the front foot and go forward and put someone in place.
You talk about social media, Mick, and I guess some people, I don't do Twitter because I hate the gutless anonymous people that have a different name. So I don't do Twitter. I do Facebook as far as kids, my grandkids and that are concerned. I'm not a large participant in it. But everyone needs to realise, and you see it on Facebook, people write things and they need to understand that no matter what they write, there are repercussions to what they do, you know, and they come out and bag someone or bag our industry. And just lately, I've got to tell you, I've been a bit short because I know what GRNSW are going through at the moment. Like the fact that we're still racing to me is just, it's an absolute miracle. But you still got people, no matter what you do, you're never going to please them, but they want to get on social media. They want to bag people at Greyhound Racing New South Wales or at clubs or different trainers. They've got to understand there's repercussions to everything they write and put out there on social media like Facebook.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's even when you get beat in a race and you've got to talk to the owners, and you know, everyone tries really hard to put 110% effort into it. And you know, when you're not, you know, you have your hill peaks and valleys in this game, and sometimes when you're down and out and you just need someone to lean on. I think it's like I said, the new generation coming in, they've got that at school and through their teens and stuff. So I think we need to get on the front foot and put this in place.
Mick, it's a good idea, and everyone's doing it tough at this particular time. So I'm sure Greyhound Racing New South Wales will take all of the ideas on board. Let's turn to something a little lighter, trying to find a winner. Or have you got any young dogs or even a dog or two we should follow over the next week or two? I'm pretty keen on one on Saturday night at Dackdale. Alderman at Cade, he's had a bit of a freshen up. Any push there for him?
No, he's desperate for the inside, that dog. He's not. No, he is. He's desperate. He's desperate for the inside. Analyzing's going good. She's drawn the 8, I think. She's going super. Chase Me Honey's in a hard race. I think she's one of Dave Smith's dogs. But I've got a Barcia Bale dog here. He's probably about 6 weeks away. Keep an eye out for him, I think.
So what? No give up on name. We've just got to go through M. Hardman's dogs. How many Barcia Bale dogs have you got in work, Mickey? Tell us that.
There's about half a dozen there. No. It's actually he's out of It's a Wink.
Right.
Barcia Bale, It's a Wink. He's a real nice pup.
All right. Well, that sort of drilled it down a little bit. Let's hope he doesn't have 2 Barcia Bale It's a Wink pups in the same race. Listen, I just want to talk to you about the future of the sport, and obviously for you and your family, you're now engrossed in it. And I know, as I say, we talk about we live in a pandemic. What would you like to see moving forward with the industry? I mean, we've seen the $1 million chase come in. We've got increased prize money. We've got new tracks and that. How do you think the industry's going? And if there's one thing you would like to see brought in the future, what would it be?
I think the tracks. I haven't been to Grafton, but I've seen it on the TV and Murray Bridge. Goulburn's get the new track. I think the tracks are very important to going forward. But professionalism, I think, we need to get to a level where the horses are, because people are investing a lot of money into the sport, and we're generating a lot of money. But I think going forward, we need to be a little bit more professional on how we conduct ourselves. I think the dress code's very good, just for the media's sake.
And what about syndication, Mick? Are you approached by people looking to get into the industry? How's that been for you?
Yeah, so I probably get about half a dozen phone calls a week on syndication. Currently, we got GH syndication, We've got the Sketchy Few, the Winning Circle. So anyone who rings me or emails me, I just pretty much will push them onto them, and they'll invite them into a syndication. That's another way going forward. The way the horses do it and all that sort of stuff. We send out videos to the syndications of their dogs. I'll give them a little preview on a rundown on how I think they're going to go. That's what I mean. I think going that way of updating owners, that's where I think we need to get more professional.
Good on you. All right, Mickey, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Boxes. I love chatting. You and I could chat for hours about dogs, buddy.
Weeks.
All the best for the future. And for Timmy, ultimate coat, mate, maybe not your dog to follow this week, Battler.
I'll be sticking solid. I think it's a very winnable race. Don't worry about the wide draw. I think you can just charge across. He'll be winning at Wentworth Park when we get back to Wenty Park. Don't worry about that, Mick. His runs there were terrific back in late June.
We'll be trying on Saturday night, Timmy.
All right. Thank you, Mickey. Thanks for joining us, and all the best for the future, buddy.
See you, boys. Take care.
All right, Mickey Hardman there on Behind the Boxes. Timmy, as I said, you're in week, 97 of lockdown or something. GRNSW, they've introduced changes to the race schedule and also to prize money right across the board. You're deep in the bunker there, the operations centre. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, well, there's no city prize money at the moment, Duke. That has been parked for the moment, and the prize money's been spread right across New South Wales. So 5th grade and higher, 440 metres plus, 2,600 to the winner. And non-grader races, 3,000 to the winner, Duke. So it's been spread all the way through from Goulburn up through to Grafton, right across the state. And it's encouraging trainers to race in their region, stay locally, because you're racing for the same amount of prize money you're racing, you know, as I said, whether it's Grafton or at the Gardens, Maitland, wherever it is, it's right across the board. 2,600 to the win for the 5th grade, 440 plus, and when we're getting up to the non-grade, 3,000 to the winner.
Warhope and Taree both undergoing renovations at the moment. Those dates have been picked up by Grafton.
Yeah, for an extra 4 meetings for Grafton. So that's with both of those tracks getting a little bit of work done there. So there'll be plenty of racing for all of the trainers up in the Northern Rivers. All
right, what's hot and what's not? What's hot for you this week, Timmy?
I want to give a rap to a young trainer, Duke. You like to see these young trainers coming through. Georgia Howard, who's based in the Hunter Valley. She's only 18 years of age. She's had 9 starters so far. She's had 3 winners. She won with a greyhound on the weekend at the Gardens. She had a double at Maitland a couple of weeks ago. And of course, she's bred to be a greyhound person. Her mum and dad, Robert and Tina, are owners and trainers. And breeders, I should say, too. And of course, her late uncle, John McDermott, who was very close to me, as you know, he would no doubt be looking down, very proud of Georgia, what she's doing in the greyhound industry. So I think she's got a bright future in the sport. I know she's looking to maybe go into the police force. I read a little article, but she'll be staying in the greyhound industry, which is great to see. And as you know, Duke, we've got to give these young kids coming through raps and encourage them, because they're the future of the sport. And you're familiar with a few of the young ones, you know, April McKay, Cam Hallinan. There's a stack around, but I think we've got to do what we can to encourage them all coming through.
Yeah, you're right there, because again, if we don't have that pathways, Timmy, who's going to be training the dogs in 20 and 30 years' time? And this is where you look back, you know, when I was growing up in, say, the mid 70s, and some of those trainers are still around today, but their kids haven't taken over as far as preparing dogs are concerned. And like you said, with Rob and Tina, Jason and Rochelle with April, Cam, obviously, Fiona and Marty, his parents and that. But I do worry about where that next generation of trainer are going to come from, because we know how ridiculous it is to buy a property. Like you know, to have those facilities like Mickey Hardman's got, you know, down at Parkspawn, and that he's on 100 acres and that. But how many kids, 25, want to go and move their whole life, you know, to a regional town like that? So we need that encouragement. I know Greyhound Racing New South Wales, again, there's a number of projects that are on the board there, and one of those is creating a pathways for people to get into the industry. Obviously, in thoroughbreds, it's different because they start as strappers or they're jockeys or something like that. But we need to create that, because we need to protect our future going forward, mate.
We do, Duke, and it is very important. As you said, that you've got to give them all the help you can possibly give them coming through. And once you get in, everyone who gets in all three racing codes, whether it's harness, thoroughbreds, or greyhound, when you're bitten by the bug, it's life. You're in the game for life. So it's so important to get them when they're coming in very young. And generally, if you do get into the game when you're in your teens or even younger, you're pretty much in it all your life.
You are. What's hot for me, trainer David Smith. We spoke last week about trainers who are having great runs like the Jason McKays, the Andrew Bells, etc. David Smith, he's had a 12 or 18 month, maybe even 2-year run now, Battler, where he has had an absolute raft of winners. And again, it's you don't train the amount of winners you have that David has over that past time, through luck and that. We saw him with, as we just saw previously, Super Estrella winning that distance championship. He races a lot of those dogs with the Ethics suffix. Outlaw Ethics won last night at Bulli. Only a young guy, Ice Cream Story, Super Estrella, those dogs that he's had in that last 12 months, they are going terrific. So hats off to him. And I know you've seen a lot of his dogs when you were calling, mate.
Oh, I'd say that run's probably extended 2 years, 2.5 years, Jim.
Yeah.
He's had a remarkable run, and particularly at Wentworth Park, he was knocking up winning race after race at Wenny for a good deal of 18 months, I would say. And I've called many of them. And yeah, he's a terrific fella, lovely guy. And it's great to see him really getting all of the winners he does. And he does a bit of traveling too. He's not afraid to travel like all of the greyhound trainers, Duke. So, you can never knock anyone who's prepared to put the work in when they're getting the results.
Yeah, and always got a big smile on his face, mate.
Yeah.
I love it. Whether he win or lose, you chat to him, he's always got a good smile. So David Smith is my what's hot. I tell you what is sad, Timmy, is the passing of Ted Thompson, who was the longtime secretary manager at Harold Park back in those halcyon days that Mickey and I and you spoke about before. Ted was a driving force of the GBOTA and running those clubs, and they had Appen flying at the time as well. Ted unfortunately passed away last weekend, aged, I think it was 90. So condolences to his family. Probably a little bit before your time, Battler, but I know you've seen Harold Park.
Oh, I've seen Harold Park. I never got to the track, obviously, but I have seen plenty of vision of the Harold Park track. And there, like I was probably coming through, Duke, at when after the glory days, I'd love to have grown up and come through those days, going to the tracks and the big betting plunges, and you're in a betting ring, and it's just exciting. There's not that atmosphere at the track these days. It is what it is. We know why. The big reason is Sky Channel. When it came in, 20 odd years ago now, people you can sit at home in the comfort of your own home these days and watch. You've got the phone to bet on and whatnot, but yeah, you can see why people don't go to the track like those days. But gee, I wish I was around back in the 70s and 80s, Duke. I would have had a lot of fun at the track.
I can tell you from first-hand experience, it was fun. And Mickey Hardman, he will testify to that as well. Again, sad news for the passing of Ted Thompson, a man who was a great stalwart to our industry. All right, dogs to follow. Your dog, Top Quality, last week won at massive odds.
Oh, you beauty.
Yeah, well, actually, mine, Frozen Fire, got beat. But at least you're on the board. Top Quality won at the Gardens. What have you got this week?
$1.28, Duke. It was a dog to follow, not to actually chime in on Saturday night. So, look, I think it'll win a few more. Don't worry about that. I do like, as I mentioned earlier in the chat with Mick Hardman, Ultimate Coat. It's been down in Victoria for a few runs. Back home with Mick, freshen up. 2.5 weeks off to Dapto, down sharply in class. It's a very, very winnable race. Bit touchy at box rise, but he's got a good turn of speed. I do agree with Mick. He is better drawn nearer to the inside, but he's not that badly drawn in this particular race on Saturday night. I think you can get the money Saturday night, and I think you can follow him over the next 6 to 12 months because I think he's a certain city winner down the track. He's got plenty of ability. Ultimate Coat.
Yeah, my dog to follow is a greyhound called Lockmaster. Now, this greyhound started his career with a bang. He won a heat and semi-final of the Group 3 Magic Maiden earlier this year at Wenty. He ran 29.7, I think, in his semi-final. He was unplaced in the final, then spent 5 months on the sidelines. He resumed running second at Richmond over the 300. Then he ran unplaced at Bulli last Saturday night. He was back to his best last night, Tim. He ran 26.23 over the 472 at Bulli, best of night. trained by Pete Lagosiani. He's obviously been very patient. This dog has got a stack of ability, and it's unfortunate for a lot of dogs that we're not racing at Wendy, because it's obviously a track that he likes to race at.
Yeah, sure is. I did call him winning a few of those races that went in that maiden series, and there's a good story behind with the owner and whatnot too. So he is a great. He's got plenty of ability, and I know Pete's got a really good rap on him. So a really nice winner last night, 26-23, I think, at Bulleye. So I know he's got a big future. I concur there, Duke.
Yeah, Adam Brand is actually the owner, or the registered owner. It's owned by his son. He was given the option when he was ill. He could either go to Disneyland or buy a greyhound, and the smart young fella said, "I'll buy a greyhound." Lockmaster is that dog. So well done to the Brand family. Well done to Pete Lagosiani. Lockmaster is my greyhound to follow. Battler, that's all we got with this week's episode of Behind the Box. It's been a big one. Ryan Papenhuyzen, Mick Hardman. We've chewed the fat about a few things. Enjoy lockdown. You're going into week 98. How's the homeschooling going before I finish?
It's going, Duke. It's just going. That's about all. Believe me. I've got to give my partner Paula a rap. She's been much better than I have. But, we're just chipping away, getting through another week and another week after that.
Another week in paradise. Battler, I'll catch you next week on Behind the Boxes, mate.
Ta-da, Duke. It's been a lot of fun again.
And that's all we have. Don't forget, you can go to the dogs.com.au website for all the latest news, feels, form. And of course, you can watch free live racing there at the dogs.com.au. Until next week, I'm Mark Duclos. This has been Behind the Boxes.